What's going on, guys? This is Tyler Smith over with Intrinsecus, and this is actually the first episode, so thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for clicking. Social media will be in the description below. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. All recordings are not on the streaming services yet, but they soon will be. But, like I said, this is the first one, and I feel like an introduction is needed. Again, my name's Tyler Smith. I'm just a normal person on this planet who gets to see things and gets to people watch and see how the world interacts around him and all his friends. So the purpose of this podcast is really just to illuminate or highlight the need for intrinsic motivation and to look inwardly. Now, I do not want to poke fun. I do not want to make fun of people. I do not want to belittle anyone for their life choices. But some of the things I've seen is people living their life through their phones, living their life through screens, not really getting a chance to experience the great life that they have before them. Now, again, people have, rough patches and trials and tribulations, but there are people who go to concerts and they just watch the concert through their phone. Or I see people who, record TikToks in public. Again, I do not poke fun. I do not mean to belittle anyone who wants to be a content creator, because obviously I'm making content right now and I'm hoping that people will listen to my voice. But there are some things, in this planet that you will never get back, and that's time. I think some of the most disturbing and sad things I've seen, honestly, is when I see a little girl or a little boy maybe out to lunch, maybe out to dinner, or at the park with their grandparents. And they're on their phones. I mean, we're talking about like 6 to 7, 8-year-olds on their phones. They don't really have the wherewithal to understand that time is passing them by and they'll never get that time back. And, when someone's 32, how much do they really remember when they're 6 years old? But that person who's 70 or 80 years old will definitely remember looking at their grandchildren saying, oh, I wish how they would just enjoy the time that we do have. And that's kind of where this all came from, honestly. It was just a point in my life where I was seeing so many things, and it was shocking to me how easily we can become disconnected with our world and connected with the virtual world. Now, personally, I don't have any social media. I unplugged from the matrix myself, and it actually made the relationships around me stronger. I still struggle with, being on the phone and texting and taking pictures. Again, I'm not perfect when I'm out in these social events, but I am getting better. And it's actually really nice to go hiking or go to a concert or go out to eat, and I'm not taking food porn pictures. I'm not, just living my life through my phone. So that's kind of where Intrinsecus came from. If anyone's asking, Intrinsecus is Latin for inwardly. And again, a lot of things I'll be talking about is not politics, not left, right, up, down, north, south, east, west. It's, hey guys, we only have 70 to 80 years on this planet, 100 if you're lucky, 40, 30, 20 if you're unlucky. Let's enjoy the moments. Let's learn how to take what we have and enjoy it, and then, ultimately make our lives better. But like I said, this is episode 1. And something I wanted to talk about was the Allegory of the Cave by Plato. Now, I could go through and have a snooze fest and read this to you, and I wouldn't do that to you. I can turn my Barry Wright voice on and smooth and soothe out my audience base, but I'm not going to do that to you. There are very academic translations or understandings of the Allegory of the Cave, but just for reference, Plato wanted to explain how people didn't understand the world around them and didn't quite understand how to describe it in a very overly simplified fashion. You had these individuals who were chained up, their heads couldn't move, and all they could see is a wall. And behind the wall was a fire, and then pretty much people, depending on who tells the story, either a puppeteer, or actual people carrying objects in front of the light, and it's casting shadows on the wall. And then eventually someone gets to ascend to the sunlight or go outside in the real world and see the world for what it is and have their eyes open. And they try to come back down and say it to other people. And they're like, what are you talking about? I can't believe you. I don't believe you. And this is kind of where I want to compare to today. So many people want to live through their phone, and the fire behind them is their phone. The fire behind them is the light that is within their hands, and the shadows are the social media tweets, posts, Instagram, photos, TikToks, Vines, if you're old enough for Vine, old enough for MySpace. It's not real. It's the same way that whatever was being cast in front of the fire and shining a light on the wall, it's not real. The object is real, correct? The shadow is real, correct? But what you're perceiving is not real. So if a dog walked across the fire and there's a shadow of a dog on the wall, the shadow is not a dog. It's a shadow of a dog, but it's not the dog. And the same thing with, social media and how we get sucked into the internet. Yes, the other person on that screen may be real. Yes, there are bots and there's things like of that sort, but the people on the other side of the screen are real, but the interaction that you're having with them is not real. It's not. It's a stream of ones and zeros sent across an invisible medium that you can't even understand. Yes, there's wires and everything, but you can't see Wi-Fi. You can't see satellite internet. And even so, you really can't see light. Like, we can see light in the sense of, oh, there's a sunlight. But when we're talking about like internet and we're talking about like electricity, essentially charges being sent across a wire, you can't see that. So again, what we see in the internet is not real. And we must remind ourselves constantly that it's not real, and we need to adjust our lives for it. Now, one thing that we see happening, and it's just so sad, is the people on these social media platforms, they build their whole life and existence off of it, and they can't leave it, and they're addicted to it. It's like the prisoners who are chained to the wall and their heads can't move, and all they can see are the shadows. There's people, instead of being chained by someone else, they're chaining themselves. They sit on the phone and chain their head to the phone and to the screen, and they refuse to get up. People walking around with hunched backs. I'm talking about teenagers, people in their early 20s, walk around with hunched backs. I go to the gym, and I see people, they're in the gym, they're squatting, they're bench pressing, they're doing overhead shoulder presses, and then they take the opportunity to take a picture and to make sure that they can highlight to the world all the good work they're doing, which is amazing. I'm glad that we're seeing people being active and taking care of their bodies, but they're basing their life and their happiness off of a like. They're not basing their happiness off their ability to hit a new PR squatting, to hit a new PR of deadlifting, of running a mile in 5 minutes when for so many years they couldn't run it faster than 7 minutes. They're basing their life and their happiness off of how many people like their photo. Now, yes, there are some people who make a living and they are fully comfortable highlighting the body to the world, saying, I work hard for my body can make me money, in the sense of being in photo shoots or on stage in a bodybuilding competition. I totally get it. Or people in the CrossFit games who highlight their bodies in very extraordinary ways to win the CrossFit games. Cool, got it, awesome. But I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the people who need to change the filters, who need to pose a certain way to make sure they get enough likes. How many times do you see people get upset, visibly upset, by the way that the world is reacting to social media? And when I say the world, I really just mean social media. So how social media is reacting to their social media. It's crazy, honestly. You know, I can probably say a lot of things. I can probably quote a lot of such psychological studies that show how when people get likes, share, comments, they get a hit of endorphins. They get a hint of that feel-good hormone. But when it's gone, oh boy, they're going through withdrawals. Now, how do we change that? How will the Intrinsecus community, once community builds, because again, this is only episode 1, but make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe, and help me and everyone who helps me out grow. How does this apply to being inwardly? How does this apply to being intrinsically motivated? How does this apply to living your best life? Well, let's have a conversation about that. There's nothing wrong with taking photos. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, at one point in my life, I was at point A. At this point in my life, I'm at point B. At this point in my life, I'm point C. And now I'm finally at point Z, and I'm happy with the results. And I'm going to take these photos, and I'm going to look at them for intrinsic motivation, moving on. Nothing wrong with that at all. I think that's actually pretty awesome. It's pretty damn cool. But you don't need to justify your existence by what other people on the internet have to say about you. You don't have to justify your existence off other people's filtered photos. You know, maybe from an older crowd to understand, 'cause I might have people, who might be a little bit older listening to this, and they might not quite understand the social media craze and all these young kids. Oh, these youngins don't know what they have. Well, let's talk about it this way. Keeping up with the Joneses. What does that cause? Depression, bankruptcy in very extreme cases. How about messed up marriages, messed up relationships? Keeping up with the Joneses, oh my gosh, my next door neighbor, she's got those new shutters. Oh man, time for me to go to Home Depot, time for me to go to Lowe's. Oh, she just got a new car. I'm on my way to Acura, vroom vroom. Oh, he just got a motorcycle. Well, time for me to go down to the Harley Davidson dealership. What does that cause for you though? So when you die and you're on your deathbed and you're looking around all the things that you wanted to do in your head, you're just looking, you're like, I wish I could have done that. I wish I could have done that. When you're on your deathbed and you're looking over your life and you're saying, did I do all my work? Did I finish my work? Did I fight the good fight by buying a motorcycle? Did I fight the good fight by getting new shutters? Did I fight the good fight, getting a new car? Or did you fight the good fight by pushing yourself to become a better man, a better woman every single day? When you wake up in bed and you look yourself in the mirror, who are you really going against? Who is your enemy? Is it yourself? Or is it Sarah from down the block? Or is it Becky with the big butt at the gym? Or is it Tommy with the big chest at the gym? Because you don't know what demons they're facing. You only know the demons they're facing. So again, moving forward with the Allegory of the Cave, kind of going back to it, there's just some key parts I want to highlight. So I have the Washington.edu up. They kind of have a synopsis, a summary of the Allegory of the Cave. And there's just some key points they brought out that I would like to talk to, since I gave an overarching look on life in accordance to Plato's Cave. So they say the Allegory of the Cave is supposed to explain this. In the allegory, Plato likens people untutored in ethereal forms to prisoners chained in a cave, unable to turn their heads. All they can see is a wall of the cave. Behind them burns a fire. Between the fire and the prisoners, there's a parapet along which puppeteers can walk. The puppeteers who are behind the prisoners hold up puppets that cast shadows on the wall of the cave. The prisoners are unable to see the real objects that pass behind them. What the prisoners see and hear are shadows and echoes cast by objects they do not see. So, in your life, when you are chaining yourself to your cell phone, your laptop, your rat race of a corporate job, your promotion timeline in the military, when you are tying yourself to body standards to be a professional bodybuilder or professional bikini model, when you're tying yourself to maybe a 10-second quarter mile if you do drag racing, when you're training yourself and your head can't move, what are those things that are being cast on the wall? And if you could only unchain yourself and see the world around you, what would that look like? I'm going to say that again. Whatever you chain yourself to, because obviously, again, Allegory of the Cave is people who are chained against their will. But when you, Joe Snuffy, Mary Jane, whatever your name is, decides to chain yourself to your promotion timeline, to your job, to your car, to your motorcycle, to the Instagram, content creator life, what is the fire casting a shadow of that is not real? It's real in the sense that there's a shadow being made, but what are you perceiving? What are you perceiving to be real that is actually just a shadow? And if you could actually unchain yourself from it all, what would it actually be? What would your life actually look like? Now, moving forward, as you guys think about that, this website also says such prisoners would mistake appearance for reality. They would think that things they see on the wall, aka the shadows, were real. They would know nothing of the real causes of the shadows. So again, I'm gonna reattack this question. If you could only unchain yourself and see the world around you for what it is, what would you have wrong? Now, obviously, when you're chained to your phone, to your career, or whatever, you don't know what's right, what's wrong. You just perceive what you perceive. But let's do a thought exercise. Of all the things you're afraid of all the things you give credence to, all the things that make up your reality. Because again, these individuals in the cave, the shadows make up their reality. So again, the analogies I'm making is not a one-for-one, but their reality is whatever shadows is being cast on the wall. Your reality is whatever you care about, whatever you're addicted to, whatever gets your endorphins flowing. That is your reality. But again, if you could unchain yourself, what would it actually look like? Now, there's some other things that this website talks about, like when the prisoners talk, what do they talk about? If an object, let's say a book, is carried past behind them and it casts a shadow on the wall, and a prisoner says, "I see a book," what is he talking about? He thinks he is talking about a book, but he's really talking about a shadow. But he uses the word book. What does that refer to? So what they're trying to get at here is saying that we characterize the world around us with words that may not actually be the case, right? And I think in modern times we call that colloquialisms, right? When you use a word for something that's not, or we generally all agree on a slang way of using a word. But they say Plato gives an answer. Now this answer, and actually one of the lines from the actual Allegory of the Cave, it's kind of complicated, so bear with me. And he says, "And if they could talk to one another, don't you think they suppose that the names they used apply to things they see passing before them?" So that's what that's saying is, at least in my interpretation, is if you could actually talk to the people around you. So let's say you have a whole group of people who are you're competing with. on Instagram, or you have a group of friends that your whole lives is food porn and you're foodies, and you live your taste buds through your phone. Or again, whatever career you have. If you guys weren't so obsessed with that in your perception of reality, do you think you could actually break through and see life for what it is? So again, that's kind of like this first episode. Episode 1, The Cave. Now, I could go into all the bona fides of what I've done in life and why you should listen to me, why you should, share my content. As you will see, there's no face. I don't have my face associated with my voice. Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, trying to be spooky, trying to be mysterious." No, I'm living inwardly. I'm going to live Intrinsecus. I don't need people to see my face, and if I ever become famous, actually, let me back up, at this channel, this podcast, this culture that I want to build, ever becomes famous, my face won't be attached to it. I will live the values I'm setting forth. Now, that I understand humans are social creatures and they want to see faces. And that is very much so. And this channel might not get too much credit because of how I'm not really utilizing my face. This channel might not get that much traction, I'm sorry. But at least I would stick true to my morals. So again, I ask you, what are you trained to? What do you want to be unchained from? I don't want to be this cheesy motivation culture or brand. You can do it. Yes. Just dig. Just fight. You can do it. Look, a lot of people have a lot of issues. There are people who are born paralyzed. There are people born without limbs. There are people born with a short clock. They die early. I'm not here to say you can do it and you need to dig deep. How bad do you want it? What I'm here saying is, if you were to look inside you and validate who you are by the morals you have and the goals you want to achieve for you and not for everyone else, what would your life look like? What would your life look like if you no longer cared what other people thought about you? Now, this is, again, kind of hard. I'm going to break away for a second. If you have a business, I get it. I totally get it. Look, you have a business. You don't have the opportunity to step away because you need to sell a product. You need to get marketing out there and traction. I get that. And I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking to the people who validate their whole existence by external means. What drives you externally? And do you ever wake up wishing that you could be more intrinsic? Do you ever wake up wishing you could, I don't know, live a better life? Do you ever wake up, how about this? How about we rewind it a little bit? Let's take it back. How many people here go to a job and their bosses treat them like absolute crap? How many people go to work and they have people who make fun of them and they're just mean? Oh, that woman's so mean. Oh, that man, he pisses me off. Oh, Tom, I just want to punch him in the face sometimes. Oh, Becky, I want to slash her tires. How many of you guys had that life? And then you go home and it rots and it festers inside of you. and you sit there in bed, stressed out, angry, your hair falling out. You don't want to finish your dinner. Or you go home, you yell at your significant other because you had a bad day. And then you sit there at the edge of your bed as you're getting ready for bed, and you have to apologize to your significant other, or you have to pet your dog because you yelled at it. You're saying, why do I let this happen? Yes, listener, why do you let it happen? And this is kind of where intrinsic comes from. This first episode is going to be a short one, just introducing who I am, the culture I want to build, and why I'm here. Again, social media, it will be in the description. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. And help me build culture. Let's build a culture of people who no longer care about the world around them. Let's build a culture of people who care how they can influence their world. Now, this doesn't mean go out and destroy the planet and say, I don't care, and I'm going to start littering. No. That's not what I'm talking about. When I say world, I mean your social atmosphere around you. Let's build culture, guys. Let's build something that's long-lasting. Let's stop building a self-destructive machine that sends people into spirals when they can't get the likes, when they can't get the promotion on time, when they're told they're not good enough, when really you could just not be good enough for that position or that thing, but doesn't mean you're not good in life. There's a famous saying, if you judge a fish by how well it can climb a tree, it will always fail. How many people are fish trying to climb a tree in life? I think that's a damn good question right there. How many people are fish trying to climb a tree, and when they can't do it, they get depressed and they're sad? Again, I'm just throwing analogies out left and right. These are some questions I want you to think about. And these are the questions I want you to ask your close friends, your boyfriends, your girlfriends. These are the questions I want you to ask your coworkers when you see certain things and you see people, flip-flopping like a pancake, what they stand for just to make sure they can get social credit. You ask them, why? And through this, we can build a better culture, something that we desperately need to. But again, this is Tyler Smith with Intrinsecus. Thanks, guys.